Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to see you. My name is Dustin Cormier. You're watching How to Rock Astrology. Today we're going to be talking about the combination of Libra moon with Pisces Venus. And this, of course, would mean that your Venus is in the moon's 6th house. And what exactly does all of this mean for you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. So we're going to talk about it, but first I am going to say a little intro that I've been saying in all of these videos, talking about the symbolism of the sun, first and foremost, as it relates to Venus and the moon. Now, you might have enjoyed my Sun-Mars series, where I often talk about how the sun is the king of the chart. It's the kingdom. Now, if the sun is the king, then the moon is the queen. What do we mean by this? The sun is our inner nature. It's our innermost self. It's who we are. The moon is a crescent sliver of our sun's inner nature. It's our earthly subconscious, whose sign, house, and aspects reveal the form that our sun energy subsides through. So consider this through the classic archetype of, like, the husband and wife within us. Whatever your gender is, this is considered to be a receptive and outgoing dimension in us. It's the yin and yang. It's the anima and the animus. It's the yin and yang of the Ajna chakra. So everybody has this husband and wife inside them. What do I mean by this? Well, consider it this way. The husband is what he is, but he is refined by his wife, who gives a rhythm and a healthy and a realistic ceiling for for the sun's potentials, for what the sun can actually realistically do. It's our personality on Earth. At least when the moon is working properly, it can properly and accurately convey how the sun's nature needs to be met on Earth. Think about it this way, okay? The husband, the sun in ourselves, says, you know what, honey, I feel like eating a nice big piece of blueberry pie. And the wife says, honey, you know what that does to your blood sugar. So the sun has this desire nature and this energy, but it can only realistically do so much. Now, it could just, if you got a bad moon, you're going to eat that piece of blueberry pie anyway, and you're not going to listen to your subliminal unconscious. But, if you're not listening to the nature of the body that you've been given on Earth, you're going to suffer. You're going to struggle against yourself, and you are not going to meet people in the middle in a practical and realistic way. So this is like when, without the moon, the person doesn't know what they actually are and what they actually want in life. The moon is really what we want in life, what we want to become, not necessarily what we want to do. That's the sun, right? If we didn't need to eat and to sleep, to have sex, to enjoy friendship, etc., then we would just infinitely express the sun, but that's not the case. Like when we consider that the sun is like what we do at noon, in the midday. That's what we do, that's what we're for. But once the midday is gone, 6 p.m., 7 p.m., whatever, we are retiring, and we're coming back to our home and the world around the sun. It's the people that we keep at our home, our friends and our lover. Our lover is going to reflect the home that we have outside of what we do during the day. And this is the moon. We need to have sex to a given degree, like give or take or whatever. We need to eat. We need to sleep. This is the realistic rhythm that we need to move through in order to embody our sun. So if anybody wants to get in the king's personal quarters, they have to do so through the queen, i.e. the moon. Venus is, excuse me for yelling into the mic there. Venus is the sun's self-enjoyment style. Venus is how we express affection. It's the sun's outgoing desire that it projects its nature out to people through. But whatever Venus attracts is subject to the subconscious reaction complex of the moon. So, what does this mean for someone who has the moon in Libra and Venus in Pisces, which is, of course, the 6th house from the moon in Libra? This is a particularly interesting combination. Obviously, this has some good because you got that, you pulled the golden card, you got the holographic Charizard, you got Venus in Pisces. And that's a wonderful thing to have for Venus. It's just going to give you a lot of blessings in your life that you might not even realize and that you probably just kind of take for granted. Venus in Pisces is very well served because it is exalted, of course, and this is in its exaltation sign, which means that it is going to enjoy whatever service it typically abides by, unless it's afflicted. Venus in Pisces can still be afflicted if it's conjunct Saturn, or if it's, if there is a trine to the moon here, which is possible with this. If the moon is at the end of Libra and Venus is at the very beginning of Pisces, then that Libra will still, if I'm not mistaken, it'll still be in trine to Venus. And this is not a good circumstance to be in. The closer that trine is, the more difficult the moon is kind of going to be, which will essentially instigate a selfishness on your part. This is coming from Vedic consciousness, by the way. Of course, there are many ways of cultural traditions of defining the planets and these sorts of things. The West typically considers that any trine is a good thing. In Vedic astrology, it's not necessarily the same case. In Vedic astrology, any aspect between two planets that are enemies is going to be bad, even trine aspects. Now, Venus is not an enemy to the moon, but the moon is an enemy to Venus. Basically, what this is saying is that the moon is more primary. When the moon has an interaction with Venus, the moon is always going to get its own needs met unconsciously first at the expense of listening to the other person. So if the moon is heavily trining Venus here, even though the Venus is in Pisces, there will be an element of a deep need, especially with the Venus being in the 6th house from the moon. There will be dirty carbonation in the service that you provide to your partner and in the service that you reciprocally get from your partner. Don't know why I had a hard time with that one. The moon in Libra can be a little bit. We have to understand that the moon in Libra it's close to Scorpio. Remember, I always say exaltation and debilitation are all about proximity, not necessarily just by sign. So you're not out of the woods by your moon not being in Scorpio. When it's in Libra, it's right next door. So moon in Libra, while it conveys a desire to serve and a desire to understand the person, moon in Libra is a listener, for sure. It deeply listens to the other person, and that's a lovely thing. But what we have to understand is that it's getting its needs met through this listening. And it needs to listen in order to get its needs met. Now, if the moon is starving Venus by being enshrined to that Venus, then there's going to be a dependence. There's going to be a need for the other person to allow the moon in Libra person to serve. And when the moon in Libra person can't serve, they get frustrated. It's like, why aren't you paying attention to how the little things that I'm doing for you? Why aren't you paying attention to all these little things that I do for you that I enjoy? At least the Venus in Pisces will enjoy doing these things, but the moon in Libra will feel insecure if the other person doesn't absorb fully and fully enjoy the effort that you put into showing them that you love them and showing them that you're listening to them, showing them that you you're the type of person who will ask, like, what do you want for your birthday? What do you want for Christmas? And you'll ask these things, and you'll make sure that you really give a good present and show that you were listening to what the person would really want, which is a lovely thing so long as your moon is not afflicted. If your moon is afflicted, then you're going to depend on your ability to do these things for people. Now, Venus here is in the 6th house from the moon. So if that trine exists, then you're going to be kind of thrown like a wet rag on work that you enjoy doing for the other person. You could be an artist who has fallen in love with your partner, and you make pictures that have just got beautiful quality because you're an artist and you're good at applying yourself. You've got a refined aesthetic taste, and you love building on it, and you hope secretly, desperately within yourself that all these little things that you do for your partner are going to be reciprocated, and that they are going to appreciate all of it, and you're going to do a lot of it, and you're going to hope that they appreciate all of it. It's the 6th house emphasis has a lot to do with this. It's this little meticulous things that you do for the partner in order to make their lives easier. With Venus and Pisces, with the 6th house nature, with the Libra moon, it's going to be things like, like setting the table and having the beer that your husband likes, or if you're a male and your partner, whether female or whatever, is going out the door and like they didn't have time to think about the coffee, you're like, hey, don't worry about it. I got your beautiful mug that you always like. I've already got it ready for you, and I went out and bought a nice one that I think you will really like, and it caters to you in this way. Don't worry about the money. I just want to do things for you. Venus and Pisces is this kind of surrendering, serviceful way. So all this goes to say that if there's that trine, there will be you'll probably do too much. You'll depend too much on the other person's enjoyment of the things that you're doing, and you'll lose a bit of dependence. You'll lose a bit of independence, excuse me. There's bound to be, ultimately, since the Venus is in the 6th house from the moon, you have an ability to gain great enjoyment here. Because this Venus in the 6th house from the moon feels like it's doing a lot of work for the other person, but it enjoys it. And as long as the other person is reciprocal to it, then you can actually have great enjoyment here. If Venus is not afflicted, if the moon is not afflicted as well, if the Venus is far away from the moon's trine, and if the Venus has delight from its friends, Saturn and Mercury, if Mercury's in trine, or if Mercury is conjunct this Venus, these are things that are going to delight this Venus and give you the ability to employ your serviceful nature to your partner in a way that you're going to deeply enjoy. There will be a constant finding of things that makes you feel more comfortable and that makes the other person feel more comfortable. And you could be a great addition to your partner's life in every regard with this combination. You're really the wife material, or the perfect husband material, probably in a general sense. At least on the surface, you will do everything that the partner needs and then some. What you have to consider is your realistic needs and limits within that givingness. Mostly, and again, if there's no afflictions to Venus, then this is just a moon thing, because your Venus it's fine. You are going to enjoy what you give to your partner, and if your partner doesn't appreciate what you do for them, you enjoy doing it anyway. Whatever it is that you were doing, whether you're painting or you're cleaning the house, Pisces and Virgo are opposites, and they can be so similar. Virgo cleans the house to clean the house, and maybe they'll enjoy it. Pisces cleans the house to enjoy it, and maybe it'll actually get clean, but it actually will. Venus and Pisces in particular will enjoy doing things to make the partner and your life easier and better, and you will enjoy it, most likely. And you'll be good at it. You'll play music while you're doing it, you know? And as you're listening to your music, you're jamming out, you're probably exploring different types of music, and you'll probably like the same type of music as your partner. And if you love your partner enough, you're probably just going to get into whatever kind of music that they like, especially with the moon in Libra too. There's that reflectiveness is there as well. So you're going to enjoy the service that you do for your partner, and if there's no afflictions to the moon, then you will feel secure in the things that you do for your partner. You'll probably enjoy that no matter what. You just probably enjoy a lot of the things that you do in your life because you've got Venus in Pisces. You have found that it is important and valuable to put a soft velvet lining in everything in your life, and you are that soft velvet lining for your partner, and you look to anticipate that for your partner. Just remember always that if you ever feel like you live a little bit too heavily to try and secure your relationship with your partner through all of this, it might mean that there's an affliction to your moon, and that you ought to apply meditation to go within yourself, detach from your need to serve the person. Because often with moon in Libra, what happens is that your role as the server is emotionally more important to you than the actual service that you do. And that's a little odd, you know, like your partner's going to know this, and they're going to be like, okay, I guess I understand that you need to serve me somehow. So what, do I got to start like thinking of things for you to do for me? You know, it's weird when the act of service is more emotionally important than the practical service that's being given. If you find that you might be slipping into that, then you should meditate and find ways to stabilize your own emotional center so that you can still serve your partner, but it's coming from a mutual place of independence and is not coming from your need to be someone else's dish rag, right? When we read here, it's going to kind of reflect on that. And I want you to keep in mind that just because you got Venus in Pisces doesn't mean that you're going to be somebody's dish rag. Venus in Pisces is a good place for Venus, which means that you probably have an understanding of the importance of independence. It's just that if your moon is afflicted, or just by being in Libra, if your moon is having any trouble, you'll feel upset that about the reality of the need for independence, if that makes sense. So, I've talked in my own spiel about it. Let's go into Erotic Astrology by Phyllis Vega. We're going to look at the nature of the moon in Libra in bed in your lovemaking style. The moon in Libra. Your approach to lovemaking is glamorous and alluring. You appreciate the intricate rituals of old-fashioned courtship, and you enjoy being wooed with finesse and sophistication. And the Venus in Pisces in you has an instinctive understanding of the joy that comes from doing things with other people because you've always had it. So you can employ this finesse and sophistication even more. You can encourage it in your partner, and you'll always enjoy when your partner woos you with some kind of finesse and sophistication. And you will find indirect ways of showing your partner the mutual joy that you both get from it. And you'll probably even instinctively do things to show appreciation to your partner for what they're doing and make it valuable to them. You'll like reward them because the enjoyment is so good for you and you value it that you'll express the value and give them positive things. It aids in your vitality of serving your partner that much more, learning more about them and serving them more. Again, if this is coming from the right place of Venus with no moon affliction, this is just the nature of Venus's abundance. So this is to say that you can enjoy somebody else wooing you with finesse and sophistication and even amplify it through Venus and Pisces. But the magic of Venus and Pisces is that if they don't do that, they should sometimes. The moon in Libra kind of needs a partner who has a romantic bent, who wants to show care and concern. That you want to see that your partner's been thinking about you in the way that you think about them, all the little things. And so they need to show it a little bit. But since you got Venus and Pisces, since you enjoy life so much, they only need to show it a little bit. What matters is that they actually, the finesse and sophistication of their presentation doesn't really matter. They can make a cheesy little cardboard cutout of a heart with their own little poem that's a simple little roses are red, violets are blue, and you will see that they thought about you, they cared about you, they put in time, and it's perfect. It's just the most perfect little gift that you could have been given, because you can see the care and dedication and effort that went into it. Even if it's not some big, rich vehicle type thing. So you are the type of person who can be simple or be extravagant, and you will appreciate it either way. But it needs to come from a sense of the person caring about you. That's the moon in Libra factor. Sex and romance for the moon in Libra, we're talking about. Sex and romance are intertwined in your mind, and you prefer artful seduction rather than a carnal free-for-all. It's especially true of the dreamy Venus in Pisces, although again, Venus in Pisces knows how to rock and roll on Earth in earthy ways with the best of them, especially with moon in Libra. There's a real understanding of what most people would enjoy in bed, and a particular understanding of what your partner enjoys in bed, because you've got the moon in Libra, and even mostly so, how you can use your enjoyment to affect greater enjoyment between the two of you. It's the magic of Venus and Pisces. You just enjoy it so much, you can just give like a look of just such lust that the other person is like, oh my God, I'm in this person's rapture, and it's so pure that I don't even have to do anything and they'll enjoy it, but you know how to encourage them to make it wonderful. Your erotic sensuality emerges most readily in a sumptuous setting that engages all the senses. This is moon in Libra. Luxurious bedding, sultry nightwear, soft music, flickering candles, and fresh flowers add the requisite spice to your lovemaking. A special night dedicated to love in a romantic setting with moonlight and whispered words of adoration serves as a genuine turn-on, and an affectionate gestures and loving words draw out your passions and get your sexual juices flowing. Of course, this is the moon. This is the bottom line platform that you are looking for in a personality, right? When you're socially going about and talking to people, this is a basic thing that the moon in Libra needs to have, that care, and the person showing, dribbling the rose petals up the stairs to a bottle of champagne in the bathtub. Those kind of little rituals of concern and care. I mean, you wouldn't meet a person based on that, but by talking to a person, if they showed that they're interested in the long walks on the beach, then you will, that kind of consciousness gets you ready for lovemaking. And then the lovemaking you do reflects moon in Libra with Venus in Pisces. Now, what does that look like? Well, we're going to read this final little section from our reading today. This is still Erotic Astrology by Phyllis Vega. And this is a combined reading of the moon in Libra with Venus in Pisces. The kind, gentle, thoughtful souls born under this combination don't necessarily like to make waves. Certainly true. You don't like to make waves, but that doesn't mean that you can't apply seduction to meet the independence that you seek. Venus in Pisces knows better than anybody that you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. The nature of Venus is that it doesn't push, but it gets its agenda found because of how soft like water it is. So ultimately, though, Libra and Pisces, with these receptive planets, they don't like to make waves. Your dreamy, romantic nature compels you to seek your other half. And when you find your soulmate, it is easy for you to slip into emotional dependency. It's because you're emotionally attached to serving somebody at some level, or you deeply enjoy you so deeply enjoy the service that you give to others by having Venus in Pisces in the 6th from the moon. Your longing for romance can make you prefer a relationship where moments of enchantment exceed those of physical passion. Right, the enchantment of talking to the other person. You could just lie down and talk to the person all night, and that'll be good enough for you. And ultimately, if the person slips into a physical passion mode in order for them to get their rocks off, you're going to see that as being brutish by the Libra moon and the Venus in Pisces. And I think that you are more capable of understanding that and removing yourself from a situation that doesn't serve you than this book conveys, personally. It's because Venus in Pisces is exalted. I think you're more capable of it. This book kind of says that you're so emotionally dependent that you can't remove yourself from it. You don't like to make waves in a dedicated partnership, but you won't move towards a partnership that you won't dedicate yourself to. And you need to experiment. You need to date in order to do that. So I don't think that it's as easy for you to get so wrapped up loyalty-wise than this book conveys. In an intimate union, you'll like things to be calm and congenial, and you'll do whatever you think necessary to maintain peace and harmony. And again, that's true. That is true. You'll do the best you can. Now, this is where I think I draw the line on what this book is saying. You may even prefer clinging to a bad relationship rather than upsetting the status quo. That, to me, is not reflective of Venus and Pisces. I think they're just drawing a little bit too heavily on the Pisces archetype of being mystical and watery, like Western astrology often does. In my opinion, Pisces is anciently ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of self-enjoyment, the self in one, which is the self in all. And your Venus in Pisces, so long as it's not afflicted, should likely help you to understand the importance of that. I would love to know what you guys think in the comments. Feel free to leave me a comment, but think about what I said. Think about the way Western astrology might make you think about your Venus in Pisces, and think about what I've talked about, which is that, again, you got to consider whether your moon has any afflictions with Libra causing you to be emotionally despondent. Maybe that's where this combination is really coming from. It's not the Venus that's the problem. It's the moon in Libra being too close to Scorpio, needing to serve for selfish needs and purposes. That's what's going to get you clinging to a relationship that's bad for you. And the Venus in Pisces, in that case, won't want to make waves and will be loyal and serviceful. But ultimately, the Venus in Pisces is going to help you. If you got Venus in Pisces and it's not afflicted, but your moon's having trouble, you will have an understanding of psychology. You'll have an understanding of love, and you'll have friends around you who help you to push you to understand that you're not as happy as you usually are because you're in a relationship with someone who's dragging you down. And it's your moon's the problem, but Venus will help you get through it as long as it's not also afflicted. So I digress. Let me know in the comments if you agree with me. I'd love to know what you think. For now, I'm Dustin Cormier with How to Rock Astrology. I hope this has been satisfying and informative. Keep your eye on my channel because I always got more stuff coming out. Thanks for watching.